Welcome back to Good Germs Off-Road Adventures. Last time we were out riding, we did a 3-year review on the 570 2022 Polaris 570 Sportsman's. But if you also would have remembered, Darth wasn't there. I had to take Billy out for the weekend because, well, Darth decided to be broken. We're finally going to get into that today. We're going to open up the clutch and see what's going on. Stick around. Now, while I enjoyed riding Billy Badass for that entire weekend, that was not at all the intention. Of course, we were trying to film the pair of the 570s, but anyway, here we are. We're getting into it. Now, I tried to describe a little bit during that review what was going on. Intermittently happened a couple of times over the past few years where you're riding along and all of a sudden you get a weird vibration coming out of the drivetrain. And it's really hard to describe this vibration, but it feels like it's coming out of the drive somewhere and the power's just not there. It just feels like something is binding up. I do have some of that captured on video once while we were climbing a big hill out by Ballarat. And then secondly, on the last ride that this has been on over in Barstow. We'll check those out now. All right, very good. I've got a weird vibration happening. There it goes. While we were riding out here in Barstow, this was going on for probably the last 40 miles of an almost 60-mile ride, which is just not good. And by the time we got back to the truck, the clutch cover was pretty warm. It was quite hot, actually, compared to Dusty, which was not warm at all, which obviously is what leads me to believe it's something to do with the clutch. So as any other good wannabe mechanic would do, I took to the internet and decided to see if anybody else had this issue. And it's a hard issue to describe. So a lot of people are out there maybe have the same issue. It's hard to know for sure because describing an issue like this is difficult. Closest couple that I came up to, they pulled the clutch cover off and found the belt was pretty chewed up on one side. And I don't know, they never posted any result. Like, how did they resolve it? They never posted that. So hopefully we're going to resolve it today. Probably not today, because I don't know if we need parts. And what parts we need, I obviously haven't ordered yet. So today is getting into it, at least for the first half of the video, to see what's going on. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into it now. I've done a lot of the busy work ahead of time. So you can see I have pretty much the left side of the body work torn off. Look, there's nothing special there. You've got some plastic body clips. Oh, we don't want to lose that. That we want to keep that. Okay, a lot of body clips, just some screws, bolts. You've got the thing here that has to come out, the footwell. Little bit of advice on the footwell, but when you go to pull it out, you want to loosen up this rear fender. So I've pulled out the bolt that comes up here, this bolt here, and this bolt here. And that seems to have loosened it up enough that I was able to get the footwell out. It is a tight fit on the front fender, but that's fine. We'll put it back together and we'll see when we're done, and we'll see how tight it is to get it back in there. Anyway, rambling on with no reason. Let's get back into here. So you can see I've already removed the belt. And to do that, I use this tool that's mostly sticking out. It's threaded, goes in here, just separates the secondary clutch here so it makes the belt easy to get out. Nothing special. Don't go cheap on this tool. Go ahead and get a OEM Polaris tool. I think it's like 12 bucks. It's pretty cheap. I know you can get some knockoff ones for like $7 for two. Just get the Polaris one. and it will probably last longer. And it was not hard to spin this around, separate, belt came right off. But since we have the belt out, let's have a look at it. This belt really looks pretty good. I don't see any wear on this belt that concerns me, so that's good. That's one less part that we're going to have to buy. Now, the one that I saw on the online, the guy had shown all through here on this edge, which is the edge closest to the engine, there was about a 1/4 of an inch groove all the way dug in. And actually, I can see the beginning of that. Let's see if I can get in there closer. Let's put this on the ground or somewhere nice, or somewhere, I don't know. Let's put it somewhere. Hopefully we can get it to focus on it. You can see some chunking a little bit on the inside of that belt. Actually, now that I'm looking at it through a camera lens and screen, that is more chunky than I thought it would be. So maybe we will have to replace this belt, and just, this one's not bad, we can keep it as a spare. So, a few minutes ago, when I said that the belt was perfectly fine, apparently I was lying to you all, and the belt's not perfectly fine. I think it's perfectly serviceable, however, we're probably going to go ahead and replace it. So add that to the parts list. Check. But now we got to pull the primary clutch out, and these newer Polaris, these newer quads have a different style clutch than you might have seen on some of the older units. So this clutch is very different. The other ones would be more solid in here, and it's a lot of work to get them removed, separated, and all that. These, from the YouTube research that I have done, you know, that's where all of the experts are, is much easier. We need to pull the bolt out of the middle, and then there's the sleeve right here that needs to come out, which might be tricky. We don't know yet. And then we need to put the clutch puller tool in and take the thing off. And then the front and the back, they're not attached like on the older clutches. So when we take it off, they will come apart if we're not careful, and we don't want to drop anything. As far as tools needed for this, I will talk through them as we go. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is take a bar. Now I'm going to use this crowfoot thing. It's a pretty good one. And we need to put it through and hook it kind of on one of these outer lobes here. We don't want to mess up any of the buttons or anything like that. And we need to put it in a way that we can turn to the left and take that center bolt out, which is a big bolt, and it is a Torx T60. That is 60, so that is quite large. But that's net. We got to take that out. Where's my tools? Oh, I put them right here where they're handy. That's nice. Okay, so for that, of course, I've got a breaker bar, a T60 socket, and we're going to try to break that loose in my mind. Oh, here it goes. It's moving. Okay, it's going. Probably could put a ratchet on this. That would be swell. Let's go do that. If I was a ratchet, where would I be in my fancy yellow toolbox right now? Okay, here we go. Oh, my stool moved and I almost fell over. Okay. Oh, shoot. Now that it's loose, now it's just one that wants to be Mr. Spinny Round. Here we go. What's interesting is I'll bring this bolt up and you can inspect it with me. It doesn't look great. Why would that be? Maybe that's normal. Look at the end of this bolt here. It's got nicks in it, but now that I look at it, there are even intervals all the way around it. So I guess that's probably fine. Okay. And now, like I mentioned, there's a sleeve here that's got to come out, and it's held in by some bit of an O-ring here. And that might fight us a bit getting out. We can take this tool out now. I think we'll need that later. This sleeve has to come out. Now, one of the internet geniuses said that you can compress this, have a friend help hold it compressed like that, and then you can pull it out. But also you don't want to be grabbing this with pliers or anything, because you need this to not be marred up or anything. So now we got to figure out how to get that out. I think I have some rubber tipped pliers. There's an O-ring on that holds it in place, and that's what makes it difficult to come out. Anyway, okay, I've got some spark plug wire boot pliers here that have a soft jaw on them. Maybe I can spread it out and do it like that. Oh, yep, there we go. And here you can see that O-ring I was talking about. So if you have a pair of these pliers for taking spark plug boots off, there's another use for them. You get them in there, give them a little spread, and give it a yank, and it just pops right out. Now, what you heard fall and hit the ground was a washer. There's a couple of washers that go in here, and I'm a little concerned maybe one is missing. They're more like a spacer, and I'm a little concerned one was missing. This one obviously goes on there like that, but I believe there should be another one that should have fallen out. There it is. Here it is. It goes on here like this. Okay, so we're not missing a washer, but that's good. Okay, so now that this is out, now we can put our clutch puller tool in and start to try to pull the clutch off. Now the clutch puller tool looks something like this. EPI makes a great one. I don't remember the part number. I think it's like PCP24. If that's not right, I'm just going to put the part number right here. This is the same thing, but it's not EPI brand. It's a different brand. It is a made in the USA brand, but it was like half the price because the EPI stuff is not cheap. So anyway, we're just going to kind of run this in, start threading it up. Apparently this one doesn't fit. Okay, this one doesn't fit. That's great. So, the part number that I just told you, that is the puller for this, is not the puller for this. But for now, I guess this is stopping point for the day because I don't have the necessary to continue at this moment. So I'll catch back up to you as soon as I have the necessary to go ahead and continue. All right, so we discovered, obviously just a few moments ago, that this clutch pulling tool is the wrong size. This is the part number that would be PCP24. That's the EPI clutch part number. Now this is from K&S Performance, which is another American company, but these are a little cheaper. Anyway, did a little bit of research. It took not a lot of time at all to figure out. Obviously I ordered the wrong one, and I was able to order the correct one, which is supposed to be this one. This one is PCP 25. Let me double check that. What did I do with the bag? I don't know. I think I may have thrown it away. Let me go double check it. Here we go. Yes, PCP 25, and here's the, anyway. Yeah, so PCP 25, that is the correct, supposedly, clutch puller tool that we need in order to take the clutch out. So now we're just gonna go ahead and give it a whirl. All right, so I've put just a dab of grease on the end of this, just hoping to avoid some friction related issues, make it a little nicer. So this one should thread in, and obviously this one does thread in. So we're going to thread it in until it bottoms out on the crankshaft. Talk amongst yourselves. Lots of threads. There it goes. All right, so we don't want it to turn the engine. So let's there we go. Now this should work. So now we're just gonna attempt to turn this and pop the clutch loose. Oh. In theory. We could put a big impact on this, but I'll be honest, I'm a little afraid of doing that. But I guess we're gonna try it anyway. There it goes. I didn't want to use the big impact, but it's what was necessary. And now we just want to grab the whole thing and not drop anything. There we go. Okay, now that I've got the clutch off here, let's get this thing apart and see if we can see any issues with it. Obviously, let's get the puller tool out of here. There we go. Okay, now one thing I did earlier is I made a mark here. You can see I've got a white mark pretty much lining this up. But we can see we have access to our one-way bearing in here and some floaty bits. So let's see if this will come apart. Let's get this cover off. Now with these last two, of course, I'm going to be careful because we know we have a spring in here. And that's really not too hard to just hold down with your hand. There we go. Well, how does this come apart now? As far as I know, these aren't threaded together on these newer designs. Yeah, that's working its way apart, it looks like. Then again, maybe it's not. Might I have to do a little bit of research to separate these. Well, I've done a little bit of further research on the online. Found a YouTube channel, Hunter Works, something I've already forgotten the name of the channel, and it was only like 3 minutes ago. Anyway, I'll post video or whatever in the description below, the name of that channel. Good reference for getting into all this, and actually I use them for a reference on how to pull the clutch off of the quad ATV four-wheeler relatively easily. But he also has some advice on how to separate the two halves on a stuck clutch, which is what we probably have here. So I'm gonna just kind of show you what he did, and we're gonna try to do the same. Now this has me slightly nervous because, well, it's scary. So he says take your puller tool and thread it in, back in at least an inch, because this clutch is held together. I mean, you've just got it, it's with splines and they tend to get stuck. Okay, so we've got it at least an inch. We don't want to risk messing any threads up. And he says just hang on to it kind of like this, because we're going to rap or tap or smack the top of the puller with a hammer. And he also says use a nice big beefy hammer so you don't have to whack it too many times. And we're just going to smack it from here, and that should separate it. And it's starting to separate. I can see it. And there it is. All right. Let me pull up a stool. Let's take this hammer and put it somewhere safe. And we can now see what we're dealing with. Okay. You can see the splines here, the splines there that it sat on. There's obviously some springs in there. This also gives us an easy way to clean up our clutch. And what I'm after is, I want to see all of the parts in here. So this spacer looks pretty good. There's a spring. And then we have some shims. And I'm trying to put these in the same order they come off in. This is our one-way bearing here. And you can see these teeth latch on to this gear here. Okay. Now this is all one unit. It does not appear that you can take this apart, but it's pretty dirty inside. We can take the puller tool back out. Anyway, this appears to be pretty dirty. Obviously that sets back down in there. And we had some gouging on our belt. What I don't know is if we have any problems in here or not. I don't see anything broken. I do see somewhere here, which this is like $100 for this part, but it doesn't seem to be anything wrong with it. But you can't take this apart to service it or grease it. This looks fairly dirty. You can see it almost looks like it might be worn a little bit. Although when you, maybe not, because it looks like it locks on there pretty nice. I thought maybe these flat tops were signs of wear, but it looks like it fits in there nicely. This is pretty, there's like debris on this. I'm sure that's not supposed to be full of debris. This looks pretty dirty. This has quite a bit of debris in it. So this could just need cleaning up a bit. So I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and clean all these parts up real nice. And I guess just reassemble it. I don't see anything that looks worn out, broken, or anything like that. So I think what we're gonna do is just clean it up real nice. This is dry. I don't know if that's supposed to be dry. The bearing feels okay. There's a little bit of play in it. Is that a problem? I really don't know. I don't know of any way of lubricating that, and you don't want any oil anywhere around the belt because it'll make it slip. So let's just clean everything up real nice and reassemble. Now, I'm not going to be terribly disappointed if all we need is a new belt. I'm not going to do anything fancy. I'm just using some shop grade Windex, aka brake parts cleaner. And I still am seeing, you can see some sort of debris down in there. I don't know if that's any cause of any of our issues or not. I'm going to try to clean that out real nice. You know, and to clean it out, I'm just going to use this brush I stole out of the wife's kitchen cabinet. Spray some more cleaner down in here and just kind of brush in there. Yeah, it looks like that stuff's cleaning up. Okay. That does look a lot better. Let's dry it off. The surface of the back half of the clutch feels good. There's no grooves, big scratches, anything like that. Let's clean off this guy. It's got a name. I don't know what that name is. Clutch part. It's plastic, which I'm kind of surprised that we've got plastic in here. I know there's some heat that happens. I'm sure it's fine. The engineers at Polaris know what they're doing, right? Okay, I'm going to turn that so it seats down into the marks in the clutch. I'm going to clean this off. So there's quite a bit of debris on all this stuff, so I don't know what's going on. Okay, this bushing here, it's very thin, it's flexible. I don't even know what kind of material it is, but we're going to clean it very carefully. You can see it's very thin and it's very flexible. It's got some marring on it. Probably not coming out on the camera there, but I can see some discoloration, some marring, but it doesn't seem to be broken or anything, so we're going to put that back. And then of course the spring goes back on, and this collar will go back on. Let's clean it up real good. I think it's just referred to as spacer. I think that's the name that it gave it. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and clean this part up a little bit. And let me clean out this side of it too. Just let all that drip on the floor, it's fine. Like I said, this feels good. I know you can see grooves and stuff on it, but it actually is very smooth. So now we're going to put it back together. However, we need to pay attention to our paint marks. So that would be it right there. So then from here, we just have to put it back together. And I think we'll use something larger to tap that back down. Yeah, that'll probably work. Yeah. We're almost all the way home. There we go. That's nice and smooth. See that wiggle there back and forth? That's what I think is our issue, but I don't really know, but that's the way it is. Anyway, we can get the rest of this put back together pretty easily. We have our two washers, and they go in this orientation. We're going to make sure our washers are there, get the spring on, get this line back up. And the spring on this isn't so bad that you can't do this by hand. You don't have to have a special tool. Although special tool would help. On the channel that I was telling you about, Huntsman, whatever he is, he used like an all thread or a long bolt and just used it to kind of suck it back down. We don't have any of that, so we're going to just kind of compress this down by hand. Make sure we have the shakes. Make sure that didn't start, and then we're going to try it again. You can also do this on the quad. That is possible, but then it's harder to get your washers back in there. You could also do this on a vise if you wanted to, I suppose. That's not something I want to do. Okay, I've got one started. I'm going to go directly across to the other side and try to start the other one. There we go. So I've got two of those things started by hand. I'm going to try to get more of them started by hand. And once you have the first couple started, it's not hard. You can push down a little bit like that. And now we're just going to put them all in, and then we'll check the torque on them when we're done. There we go. Now we're reassembled again, and it seems to work. That's fantastic. Oh, washer fell out because I decided to shake it around like a bit of a not smart person. That's fine. Now we can actually put this back in. Well, these are all not lined up now. There we go. There we go. Now we've got the clutch reassembled. Let's find out the torque spec on these bolts. So this is going to sound crazy. I've just done a bunch of research and discovered that I can't find torque specs for these bolts anywhere without having a shop manual which I don't have, and those are like $100, so I haven't yet invested the money for a shop manual. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and put this back on the machine. I'll meet you over there. Quite simply, this is just going to go back on the crankshaft of the quad. Let's clean that up first. I've got my rag here. Give this a good cleaning. Okay. So this is just going to go, obviously, right back on the crankshaft. Kind of like that. And then we're going to put our bolt in. As soon as I find it. There it is. And I'm going to find my socket. Oh, socket's right here. Another video I watched, a guy was doing this with an impact. Well, I don't want to run this with an impact and end up turning the engine over backwards. I don't even know if that's a problem or not, but that's fine. But we're just going to, turn the engine over backwards like I just said I don't want to do. Okay. That's fine. Nope. There we go. Okay, so 96 foot-pounds. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the belt back on and start it. I just want to make sure we don't have any binding going on. So let me grab the old belt. Now, if you remember, this belt has some gouging going on the inside, so we're going to replace it, but I do just want to see, I just want to validate, like I said, that we don't have any issues with binding or anything right now. So we're going to take our handy tool out. That compressed the secondary. Okay. There we go. Seems like it's lined up okay. Let's give it a start and let's see if we have any binding issues. Well, I'm not seeing any binding issues, so that's good, but I'm going to go ahead and get this belt back out, obviously, so we can change it. And that was as simple as finding the hole that the little tool goes in, and you just turn it. What it does is it pushes the rear plate of the secondary clutch. It just pushes it away, so that it will spread it and make it easy to change the belt. You just do it until it stops. That's good enough. And then this belt should just come right out. There we go. Okay. So it appears to me, in my mind and untrained skill here, that we don't need any other parts, that everything was a bit dirty. I don't know, obviously, if that's what was causing our vibration and supposed binding issues. We need a new belt, so we're going to do that. That's about it. So I'm going to go ahead and get a belt ordered, and then I will catch back up to y'all once we have that and we reinstall that, and we'll check it again. All right, we're back, and it's a few days later, 6 or 7 or so days later, but we've got a new drive belt. We're going to go ahead and put it on the 570 Darth Quad ATV four-wheeler thing and, you know, see what happens. So we just did all of this with the old belt just a minute or two ago. We're going to go ahead and put the new belt on. If we're putting the belt on, if there's no arrows on the belt, you want to look at the writing that's printed and make sure it just faces so you can read it, you know, so it's not backwards, is all. There we go. Now we're just going to remove the expander tool from the secondary. Been seeing a lot of people saying they've broken theirs. Well, it's probably user error. I mean, these don't feel like the most solid a tool, but you know, when you go to spread these, it spreads easily, so you don't have to put a lot of torque or elbow grease or whatever you want to call it on that. It works just fine. All right, let's get that settled in there. Now that's as settled as that is going to get. Let's go ahead and start this thing and get that belt set in there. Well, there was a lot of noise from the fenders rattling because they're loose, you know, right here. But you saw the effect of a brand new belt. You go to put it in gear and it just, you know, isn't smooth. And that's just, like I said, the effect of a new belt. Looks like the EBS was working properly. We revved it up and slowed it down. You couldn't see the tires moving, but I had it in low gear for a while, and then I put it in high gear for a while. Seems okay. I don't see any issues with it. We're going to go ahead and put all the bits back on the quad here and Then we'll see if it's a little quieter without all the rattles with it bolted back down. Okay, here we go. Okay, well, it's back together. We're going to start it now and, well, see if it seems like it's better. Yeah. Okay. Okay, here we go. That seems okay. Let's put them in gear. Put them in high. You know, it seems okay, but here's the thing. We're not going to know for sure until we actually get out and ride it. Well, that's a few weeks away. So for now, we're going to call it good and say we did a thing, even we don't know if we did or not. I do also want to mention, I don't know if you've noticed how tall this thing is up in the air. It's pretty high up in the air, and that's thanks to the modifications I made to the ATV lift that's under it. It did save on the back, you know, not getting any younger, back's not getting any better. And this made it a lot better on the back. I'm not hobbling around for 3 days after working on a quad. Anyway, I think that's going to do it. Like I said, we're not going to know for sure if we fixed anything or not. It seems like it's better, but then again, it's just sitting on a lift in the garage here. So we don't know. A few weeks away, we're going to be out riding quite a bit. So that'll be quite a bit of a test for it. And we'll see how it goes. Anyway, sorry about that. Lost my train of thought. I appreciate you hanging out. At least if nothing else, we figured out how to remove and disassemble the clutch, put it back together and put it back on the machine. At least we figured that part out, and you maybe can see something about how to do that on these newer Sportsman 570s with the EBS, what components are there. And I guess that's it. I appreciate you being here. Listen, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that. It's free. You just click the little red thing, says subscribe. You're automatically subscribed. If you push the bell, you get notifications when we make new videos if you want to. If you don't want to, that's fine. I don't tend to do that on a lot of videos that I watch. Anyway, like it, share it, make some good, respectful comments, ask questions. I check those out and do the best I can to answer those things when they pop up. But I guess that'll do it. So in the meantime, y'all ride safe, your garage and shop safe, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye now.